What's up, you beautiful Redditors? Hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. Welcome to the RNEWS evening show. And let's just jump into it. From r/politics, Mitch McConnell laughs when confronted on Senate inaction over coronavirus. Something about his face screams pure evil. It's in the eyes. HES palpitining. He's so evil even his own skin is trying to separate itself from his face. Mitch McConnell looks like Mason Verge's slightly more handsome cousin. Reptiles do need to shed their skin every so often. Calling him a reptile is an insult to reptiles. It's the demeanor of somebody that has enriched themselves from the public office, has detached themselves so thoroughly from the population they represent, but still enjoys that same population blindly voting them regardless of the consequences placed on themselves. Come on, if you were in his shoes, would you not be loving life to its fullest? You have an undereducated population willing to empower you no matter what. You essentially eat, drink and entertain for free on the public dime. Lucrative lobby money just magically appears in unmarked envelopes. And you've been doing this for so many years that you've reached an age where you just no longer give a f *** about what others think of you. Plus his wife's family has the cocaine import business. His father-in-law, who founded and owns a large Chinese shipping company, has given Mitch and his wife millions of dollars over the years. The company was implicated recently in smuggling cocaine from Colombia to Europe. He'd been aboard a company ship carrying foreign coal with $7 million of cocaine, and that is why we've deemed him Cocaine Mitch. www.google.com. You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/World News. Mexico says 2 women may have had non-consensual surgery in U.S. detention center. That's horrific, but I feel the need to remind folks that consent is beside the point. If any woman was lied to about the necessity of her procedure, then whether or not she consented to that procedure is completely irrelevant. I mean, technically you cannot give consent if you're lied to, because in order to give consent it needs to be without duress and with full information. So I think it is still technically a matter of consent. Now whether or not they agreed to the procedure is besides the point if they were lied to. So, if consent doesn't count if it's obtained due to lies, does that mean that politicians who lie to get elected don't actually rule by consent of the governed? Well, I was only referring to consent pertaining to health treatment. There are ethics involved in that. I don't know if politicians are held to any ethical standards. While being held at the Irwin Center in Georgia, one Mexican woman was reportedly subject to gynecological surgery without her approval and without receiving post-operative care, the ministry said in a weekend statement. Frick ICE and anyone that enables them. Non-consensual surgery is my least favorite new phrase of 2020. Mengele type E. You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/politics. Calls intensify for resignation of Michigan sheriff who shared stage with militia. When the FBI stops a plot to kidnap a governor, and the president can't thank the FBI, B. C. He's fighting with them and he can't be thankful for the governor's safety. B. C. He's fighting with her and he can't condemn the terrorists. B. C. They're his supporters. It's time for a new president. BMJ. He had no problem wishing Ghislaine Maxwell well and sobbing about how bad he felt for her that her boyfriend Jeffrey Epstein died. And rightly so. Rightly, he should not need to resign because there should be a law that makes it an immediate and permanent disqualification. Watch his interview. It's damning as frick. The guy, the sheriff, sides with right-wing militias rather than with his own governor. Absolutely stunning to hear these people openly say these things. The thing that's overlooked here is that the right has now decided that it's okay to start saying what used to be considered the quiet part out loud. So what maniacal crap is now the quiet part is the question I ask. As a Barrie co-resident, I feel like he probably has way too much support from the community. He is currently running unopposed and has been sheriff as long as I can remember. Repeal Whitmer signs, and an abundance of Trump and Confederate flags are to be found throughout the area. You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/World News. France to distribute free medical cannabis, launch experiment in 2021. We bloody terrific, take my free silver award. I was reading it phonetically, and really struggling. Then it hit me. Like a good edible. If the pâtissiers start making edibles, France is in for a good time. We didn't start the fire. We did. USA started a program like this in 1978 and still sends free cannabis to the original participants. Every month it was grown and rolled by University of Mississippi. The only federally mandated grow-op. I've heard it's crap weed. Edit, a word. It is. I went to see one of the patients give a lecture once. He brought his tin of joints. It's a huge freaking tin of 300 joints. 10 per day's prescription LMAO. It was straight Schwarz weed. Edit, at least that's how it was 20 years ago. Who knows what they doing now? Edit 2, here's a picture of his tin of ditch weed joints. I actually would like this. Weed is too damn strong these days. My parents are currently trying to grow weak weed with their friends and they are calling it 70s. Weed Becca say they miss bad weed and want weed like when they were teens. Oh crap, my glaucoma in France is horrible. You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/news. Maine postal workers reassemble high-speed sorting machine. Discarded for scrap metal. They discarded a purpose-built mail sorting machine that costs God knows how much for fricking scrap. Not even spare parts. I think old Louis should be facing severe life-altering charges for stealing public property and destroying it. The game is, he is counting on being untouchable, and that this period is the annoying busy part of it that will pass. They know it's a window of inconvenience for a lifetime of power. He is doing things a person should be afraid to try pull off. The fact he isn't, is because he sees a path to it working out for him. We need justice in this country. The question is, will we be able to wait until Donny Boy won't have the power to pardon him, without letting the statute of limitations apply? If Donny wins again, nothing'll ever matter again. You can kiss the United States goodbye. If he loses, plenty of time to jail. The joy $. Wow. Thanks for the awards. This is one of my most crappy comments ever. Usually I'm more thoughtful. Lesson learned. If Donald wins the election again, the damage will be irreparable. He's tried so hard to make everything he's fricked up permanent already. The federal courts are already stuffed to the brim with DJT appointees. His influence will be felt for decades. Which is why we need to impeach as many as possible, pack the courts, and prosecute the Trump administration and its cronies. We need to think of this like Civil War reconstruction, but get it right this time. You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/World News. Trump less trusted across advanced economies than China's President Xi. Is this a surprise to anyone? China wants to become the new superpower and all their moves are in an attempt to do that. Russia wants to stop Europe's expansion and influence. Trump, on the other hand, who the hell knows? The guy could wake up tomorrow and decide to blow up the moon and nobody would know if he is being serious or not. I mean, Xi and Putin aim is to make their respective country more powerful. Trump wants to make himself more powerful. I wouldn't trust him with a piggy bank. If he came out on national TV and said that gravity still worked, I'd pick up a rock and drop it to test. At least Xi and Putin are both reasonably competent and predictable. Trump could blow up a decades-old alliance on a whim, insult an continent and nearly start a war via Twitter by mistake and all before he's had his portion of Big Macs for breakfast. Sorry, what country did Corona come from? And that's where we're going to end today's show. But if you like what you saw, leave a like, and if you want to see more of the RNEWS show, hit that subscribe button. As always, this has been the RNEWS show and I'll see you tomorrow.